Mount Connor, timeless and defiant, rises more than 300 metres above the desert in an amethyst haze, lonely and aloof, still resisting the ravages of nature which have whittled its surroundings to a sandy, flat plain. Curtin Springs is one of the great cattle stations of the centre, where a roadhouse to cater for travellers has been established. A pelican, well isolated from his usual habitat, has found refuge here. Our destination today is Ayers Rock and the Olgas in the National Park, where there is no wood for campfires, so we gather some en route from the dead mulga on the roadside and take it with us atop the vehicles. Some was destined to travel with us as far as the Hamersley Ranges in Western Australia. No matter how often one has been to Ayers Rock, first sight on the horizon seems to fill one with a sense of awe, of anticipation, a great monolith rearing out of the voids of time. Approaching, one is pervaded by an aura of mystery and majesty. One is aware of its legends, of the dream time, and of the people who made it their home for perhaps 1,000 centuries. To us, the rock is a huge monolith of vertically bedded arcos, but to the Aborigine, it is living evidence of the deeds of the Dreamtime people. Known to them as Uluru, each feature of the rock has legendary beginnings in the Dreamtime, when Uluru was a large sandhill, and the scars made in the soft sand during the battles of the Dreamtime people and the bodies of the slain were transformed to rock at the close of the creation period. The Aborigine associated the Dreamtime heroes with animals and other objects familiar to him. This is the northern or sunny side of the rock, Jindalagal, the totemic home of the Mala people, the kangaroo rat men. Boulders around the base of the rock here represent the sleeping Mala women and small caves and markings made by their digging sticks. Known to us as the Brain, but to the tribe as the camp of the old Mala men, where ceremonial decoration of initiates was carried out. This cave, almost 400 metres long, Dudjajabi, camp of the Mala women and children, the legendary hair wallabies or kangaroo rats. About the base of the rock, the distant Olgas may be seen on the horizon. A huge vertical slab of detached rock known to us as the kangaroo tail, but to the Uluru-Kata tribesmen as Naldawata pole, a ceremonial pole of creation time, and the deep chasms in the rock were tracks made when dragging the Naldawata pole to safety at the approach of the spirit dingo, Kalpanya. Especially significant is the wet weather cave of the marsupial moles, Itjari Tjari, where many cave paintings depict the totemic symbols of these ancient people. Most of their paintings are attributed to the Dreamtime heroes. A chosen few of the tribe are permitted to touch them up to keep them fresh. Since the tribes left the rock about 40 years ago, the paintings are fading and may in time be gone forever. This rock is the stopping place of Kalpanya. The totemic place of the lizard man, Kanju, and the furrows made in search for his lost boomerang. The western end is the only place where the rock may be climbed. Most fit people visiting the rock elect to make the climb, but all do not make the top. A number of dingoes approached us quite closely. Being a sanctuary, they were quite tame, and one in particular accepted cake as a titbit. The dingo is not indigenous to Australia, but is thought to have come with the forebears of the Aborigine from Southeast Asia many thousands of years ago. Our proposed camp is to the west of the Olgas, some 20 miles from Ayers Rock, across the red sands and spinifex. The heavy rains of the past few days have transformed the graded dirt road virtually into a canal, where boats would have been more appropriate than wheeled vehicles. Great care had to be exercised in negotiating the long stretches of water, as it was not known whether there may be deep holes under the water, or in fact even how deep the water was. After a good deal of reconnaissance, the four-wheel drive vehicles ventured through first. Progress was slow, but we reached our destination without mishap just after sunset. We arose before dawn and journeyed to the east of the Olgas to see the sunrise. Even before the sun tips the horizon, the pre-dawn grey of the great tor softens and are tipped in wisps of crimson fire, which slowly slips down the face of the rock, dissolving into gold as the sun gains strength. Another day in a timeless land. At breakfast, we plan our proposed attempt to climb through Walpa Gorge and into the great amphitheatre in the heart of the Olgas. Walpa Gorge, or the Valley of Pungalung's Bones, is the great chasm separating Mount Olga and adjacent Mount Walpa. The gorge is broad at first, but narrows to a mere cleft, the walls of red rock rising sheer on each side to near 500 metres. Going is difficult, scaling giant boulders which have blocked the gorge, or even at times squeezing through narrow passages beneath the rocks. Some narrow sections could only be negotiated by pressing one's feet on one wall and one's back on the other. Eventually we are through, and after a steep descent we gain respite and a drink from the clear, cool water of Walper Creek. It too was pleasant to emerge into the warm sunshine after the gloomy cold of the gorge where the sun never penetrates. A gentle breeze funneling into the narrow cleft becomes an icy blast. These mighty tors, composed of water-worn boulders torn by the surf from the rocky shores of an ancient sea and cemented by silicious sands into conglomerate. We stopped for lunch in the amphitheatre at the foot of the towering Mount Olga, or Ganara, home of the mythical snake Wanambi, the highest rock mass in Australia, rising more than 550 metres above us. Into the heart of the Olgas, Kata Tjuta, meaning many heads, a jumble of massive domed monoliths separated from each other by narrow vertical chasms. First seen by Ernest Giles in October 1872, he wrote of them. The appearance of Mount Olga is truly wonderful. It displayed to our astonished eyes rounded minarets, giant cupolas and monstrous domes. There they have stood for countless eons of ages, since creation first had birth. To us we see giant domes and cathedrals, but to the brown man, a land of legend and poetry. The eastern domes are known as Mingari, mice women who play beneath the mulga trees. Climbing steadily out of the amphitheatre, we reach the top of the saddle, where we gaze out across the expanse of desert to the Peterman Ranges. It is now but a long walk back to camp, past the skeletons of long-forgotten trees and rocky gibber, remnants of perhaps a mightier tor, a victim of nature's perversity. Yet even here, nature's creatures abound in the air and upon the ground, adapted over eons of time to a harsh environment, where each day brings a new struggle for survival. The Aborigine too learned to adapt his life and conquered this great wilderness. In this he learned much from the creatures about him. Even their legends and Dreamtime heroes embody the creatures he is familiar with. There is a spell about these great monoliths that grips one. It is not difficult to understand how primitive man personified even the physical features to a degree of deity, embodied them in his legends. These great tors are the first images to meet the mind of the Aboriginal child, and the first stories are simple myths explaining their creation. As he is admitted further into the esoteric mysteries of his tribe, these myths are central themes of his life. Countless centuries, the Aborigines have watched the fiery blaze of the great red rocks at the close of day. They will remain forever a monument to this noble race who made it their home.